Hi, my name is Martine Peters, and this is the video for the free mini course Stop Worrying that I offer on the coaching website martinepeters.com. In this video, I will talk about anxiety, stress, and worry. I will teach you the difference between physical stress and mental stress, between stress and anxiety, and I will show you how anxiety works in your mind, in your brain, and in your life. I will share with you some simple tools that I have gathered and discovered along the way of my own personal journey. Beneficial tools that will help you as well to stop worrying in your life. For me to understand how my mind works has been one of the most important lessons in my life, and certain types of stress obviously can be helpful and others not so much. We can make a distinction between physical stress and mental stress. For example, when you walk down the street and you're almost hit by a car, we immediately get out of the way and our body will help us to move quickly by our physiological stress response. So in this example, stress is helpful. It is an adaptive response to help us survive. Then after the incident, we start thinking, oh my God, I almost got hit by a car. I could have been killed. And this is the second response after the event, which is called mental stress. We jump out of the way and then we start freaking out about it. We're not in direct physical danger, but because this mental stress response, because you're still thinking about it, our body thinks that we are still in danger, and that brings a lot of bad things for our health. It is important for us to learn the difference between physical stress and mental stress for that reason. Also, it is important to learn the difference between stress caused by things we can do something about it, like our to-do list, or stress about more general things like our job, our relationships. These stresses don't have a clear trigger and they often are beyond our control. We can alleviate stress by addressing the trigger. For example, we can start working on our to-do list, or when something is beyond our control and we cannot really do something about it, we start binge watching TV, binge eating, or drinking alcohol. In this way, we can develop addictions. We, as human beings, have important survival tools. We experience a stress trigger and we seek for a behavior to alleviate the unpleasant feeling. For example, we see a predator, that is the trigger, then we run, that is the behavior, and then we're safe, and that is the reward. Our brain is also wired to seek repetition. This was an ancient survival mechanism as well used to find food. Every time we used to seek the same path in the forest to the place where we'd find food. So hunger was the trigger, finding the path was the behavior, and finding the food was the reward. And we are creatures of habit and repetition. Nowadays, we have to deal with different types of problems than in the past. But we try to resolve these issues with the same outdated brain program as we did thousands of years ago. We experience something unpleasant, which causes fear, and we seek distraction to make the unpleasant experience go away. Our brain is wired to seek pleasure and to avoid pain. We constantly are in the future or in the past, making stories or distracting ourselves with our phone, with eating, or with any other addiction. We seek quick fixes and brief relief, feeding the bad habit actually, and giving our minds the wrong gasoline. So our strategy for fear has become worry. Worry is also a form of distraction because it gives us some sense of control, because we're constantly thinking about what to do and what is the best way to move forward. Anything is better than to fear, and worrying feels better than just to feel this pure fear. It gives us the illusion of control. We also try to predict the future to gain control over our circumstances, and the brain will do this by constantly asking for more information about the situation that worries us. So you can easily fall into a worry loophole with this. So step back for a moment. It is not your fault how your ancient brain is wired. So be kind to yourself and hold it in a gaze of awareness. If you're kind to yourself instead of beating yourself up, your brain registers that and you can learn to hack your brain. Consider worry outdated from an ancient part of our brain that was used to avoid danger and to find food. Be patient with yourself and try to distance yourself from your worry a little and observe it without being judgmental about it. Try to repeat this every time you feel worried, because the thing is that our brain is very much like a muscle. Whatever you practice, you'll become better at it. And also realize when you're experiencing a negative emotion, that all emotions die out in the end, and if you don't feed the fire, then you can learn to distance yourself from the anxiety rather than to get caught up in it. So anything you constantly repeat becomes a pattern, and the brain will form a new habit. So let's call worrying about things beyond our control anxiety. When we worry a lot, it becomes chronic anxiety, and it becomes a habit. We start waking up feeling anxious, constantly being worried, restless, and we cannot fall asleep at night. Anxiety is fear that has become chronic. Scientific research has shown that fear and anxiety can actually be felt in the body. So when you take a moment to think about something that makes you anxious, where do you feel it in the body? You will discover that anxiety and fear are felt in the same body part, often in the stomach. Scientific research has discovered that meditation can actually calm down the brain. It can be shown in an MRI taken of the brain. And we can learn to breathe into the body part where the anxiety shows up. Mindfulness is awareness that arises when paying attention in a particular way. It is non-judgmental. It is not following our primitive survival brain to come up with a short-term solution to make the unpleasant feeling go away. That doesn't fix the problem in the end. Another thing that research has discovered is that love and fear, gratefulness and fear, they cannot exist at the same time. So when you train your brain to look at your worrying with compassion and curiosity, then the fear and anxiety will lessen. You can learn to be your own scientist, and you can learn to investigate your worry from a distance with a helicopter view. You can discover what your triggers are and investigate them. Curiosity, for example, is already feeling better than anxiety, and you'll learn along the way to take kind care of unpleasantness, like a loving mother caring for a baby that cries. You can train your brain like a muscle and thus wire your brain to behave that way when you keep on practicing. Curiosity is becoming the behavior as you practice mindfulness, and winding down, calming down will be the reward. So we are teaching ourselves not to follow our primal instinct to directly do something, but we replace doing something by just being curious, evolving to a being rather than a doing. And when you're training your mind repetitively, you also change your brain. So what interventions actually target worry? The body scan, the meditation that you have received today, is helpful. Becoming curiously aware of what exactly is happening instead of thinking about what should happen in any given situation that causes worry. Because body scanning helps us not to add fuel to the fire. So don't go looking for the body scan in order to relax, because then you'll build all these expectations and it will be hard to meet them at first. Just be curious, and over time, yes, the body scan can help improve relaxation, and it will absolutely improve concentration. You can learn to consciously direct your thinking into a more positive direction. You can learn to observe your thinking instead of being caught up in your thoughts. You have to be patient with yourself, however, because in the beginning of doing the body scan, your thinking will constantly try to distract you all the time. So don't judge yourself when that happens, or you will be training your judgment and your frustration, and they will become bigger when you keep on focusing on them. So instead, just bring back your attention to your breath and to your body in a loving and patient manner. That will happen 1,000 times, and but like I said before, your brain will be an untrained muscle in the beginning, and you'll have to tame your brain like you would train a wild and untamed horse. It can be difficult at first, but you can train it. It is a practice, and in the follow-up course Mindfulness that I offer on my website, we will dive deeper into mindfulness and all the benefits that it can give you in your daily life and how it will improve happiness. The third meditation of the free mini course, Stop Worrying, is the Love and Kindness meditation. And as you practice mindfulness, we often are too hard on ourselves, creating a secondary worry loop. So you start worrying about worrying, and that is not good. So this kindness is very important to develop, and I promise you will get better over time. And it is difficult because we're so familiar with judging ourselves. I hope you have enjoyed the 3 guided meditations on the website, and I'm wishing you a lot of happiness, joy, and freedom in your life. And I see you next time. Bye.